Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cryptids and Critters Paranormal. I'm your host and founder, the Dooster. Today is March 12th, 2024. It's a beautiful, sunshiny day outside, and I need to get this video dropped and get out and see what I can find. Today, I'm going to be talking about the 1880 murder of Leonidas S. LaPrade. This is part of my continuing series on haunted locations in Robertson County, Tennessee. This will be part 7. Like I said, today I'm going to be talking about the 1880 murder of Leonidas LaPrade and the subsequent lynching of the alleged perpetrators for this horrendous murder. This murder is chronicled in my book, Lights Out, The Murder of L.S. LaPrade. And the complete court case is featured in my book, Execution of Murder, 1810 through 1910. All my books are available on Amazon, from Moss's Restaurant, located inside the Old Bell Schoolhouse, just down the road from where the murder took place. They're available from the Robertson County Archives in Springfield, or if you want a signed autograph copy, from my home-based bookstore, Soggy Bottom Bookstore, you can contact me at ghosthunter911@gmail.com. Again, that is ghosthunter911@gmail.com. And I'll make sure you get a copy delivered to your door. I will post a link to my books in the comments below. At this point, I want to post a warning to the faint at heart. The details I share in this video below are quite graphic and may be considered offensive to some. I caution you to proceed at your own risk. Like I said, this is not going to be suitable for probably young children to hear or to read. Adams Station was just another small, peaceful Tennessee community nestled among the towering oaks and maples that grew in the fertile soil along the Red River. In the early days of its settlement, pioneers searching for a new beginning traversed this treacherous and untamed country in search of a place to put down roots and call home. It was here that they found what they'd been searching for: rich soil in which to grow their crops, numerous streams to obtain water, and abundance of trees to provide them lumber to construct their homes, as well as for firewood to keep them warm during the harsh winters. In general, residents of Adams Station and the neighboring communities were honest and hard-working. Crime was virtually non-existent, and it seemed a perfect place to live and raise a family. Not much in the way of excitement ever occurred in this neck of the woods, with the exception of an occasional barn raising, a church revival, a baptizing at Red River, that sort of thing. So if it was excitement you wanted, you had to go elsewhere to find it. That is, until that fateful day in 1880, when a hideous and barbaric murder turned the entire community upside down. First, I'm going to give you a little background. September of 1880, a rumor was circulating in the Sandersville and Red River community, which is now Adams, Tennessee, where Leonidas, or Lee LaPrade, had reportedly received a large inheritance from his uncle in France. LaPrade was a bachelor and was considered very eccentric among his neighbors. The rumor of this inheritance got the attention of several of the less desirables in the neighborhood, and one night they met at an undisclosed location and developed a plan to relieve him of that inheritance. This band of thugs formed a gang known as Jack Bell's Gang. It consisted of the leader, which was Jack Bell, Arch Jameson, Lum Small, Anthony Duffy, Jim Higgins, Locke Mallory, Chris Mallory, Bob Thwett, James Elder, and William Murphy. One day, Sally Booth, a local washwoman and neighbor of LaPrade's, delivered his laundry to his home, and not finding him home, she placed a basket of clothes on the front porch, and then she left. When she returned a couple of days later, She was puzzled to see that the basket had not been touched, and fearing something was wrong, she contacted Lee's brother, Gus, who went to Lee's house to investigate. He found the house had been ransacked with no sign of Lee. All the furniture had either been broken or turned over in the floor. The food in the pantry had been thrown all over the floor. And checking outside, he found Lee's mules all but starving, and it was obvious that they had not been fed or watered in several days. Lee was known to take good care of his farm animals, and this kind of struck Gus as something was badly wrong. A quick search of the farm turned up nothing, and Lee sounded the alarm by going out back and ringing a dinner bell, which summoned the closest neighbors. A search party was quickly organized, and the search began. Finding nothing, the sheriff was sent for, and he took over the search from that point on. The search went on for several days with no luck, and it seemed like Lee had simply disappeared off the face of the earth. A family friend and neighbor by the name of David Allen took it upon himself to contact a local medium named Melinda Walker, who he referred to as a fortune teller. In talking with her, she described two of the perpetrators and named Jack Bell and Arch Jameson as being involved in LaPrade's disappearance. She added that LaPrade had been murdered and his body thrown into a sinkhole. His body would be found on the 10th day, and when Allen told the sheriff that what she had told him, he laughed in his face and said he was not going to believe anything that witch said. The search dragged on and on. Finally, on day 10, David Allen broke off from the search party and came up on a sinkhole with a long pole laying nearby. Peering down into the hole, he saw a lot of brush that what appeared to have been thrown in recently, and worse than that, a foul, sickening odor arose from the depths of the hole. Summoning help, they quickly fashioned a hook and commenced removing the brush. The odor was sickening, and the cause was soon found. LaPrade's body had been located, and it was not a pretty sight. His body was hoisted to the surface, and a jury of inquest examined the rotting corpse. This is where it may get a little bit queasy for you, faint of heart. His eyeballs had been cut out, his privates removed, his legs had been hacked on with an axe, his nose was missing, and his tongue had been cut out. He had also been stabbed numerous times, most of the skin removed from his face, and a small caliber bullet wound was found near his temple. Once the body had been discovered, the news spread like wildfire, and members of Jack Bell's gang quickly absconded from the area to parts unknown. In the meantime, LaPrade was interred in a family cemetery just outside of Adams. The first one arrested was Jim Higgins, and he was secured in a calaboose at the Sadlersville train station. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the term, a calaboose is a caged, secure area in a depot used to store valuables. Having a lockable steel door, it was often used as a jail cell to secure prisoners awaiting a train ride to jail. So Higgins is in the calaboose, and that evening a mob arrives at the depot, and Higgins is forcibly removed from the calaboose. He is blindfolded and placed on a horse. After a short ride, he is dragged off the horse and led to a tree, where he is forced to sit on the ground with his back against the tree. His arms are bound tight, and the rope wrapped around from his shoulders down to his elbows. They then drive sticks down both sides of his legs, to render them immovable. With that being done, they remove his boots and pile dead dry leaves at the soles of his feet. With a torch, they set the leaves on fire. Higgins winces in pain and screams in agony, but still refuses to talk. They then hold a flaming torch directly to his feet. When the agony becomes unbearable, he agrees to talk. They remove the torch, but the damage is already done. Out of fear of them using the torch again, Higgins proceeds to tell them all they want to know concerning Jack Bell and Jameson and the names of the other gang members who were involved. When the mob got all the information they wanted, they put him back on the horse and returned him to the calaboose. They gave him a few drinks of whiskey to dull the pain and wrapped his feet in burlap bags soaked in coal oil and soda before they locked him inside. Right now, Higgins is a valuable commodity to them, but after they get their hands on Bell and Jameson, his life would not be worth a plug nickel, and Higgins realized this. The mob immediately departs and goes after Jack Bell and Jameson. The mob's original plan was to torture Higgins to render a confession, and then hang him from a tree afterwards. But suddenly all that changed. They realized that Higgins was their only witness against Bell and Jameson at the time, and he had to remain alive, or at least for the time being. That would all change after Bell and Jameson were properly dealt with. Sheriff Jones didn't waste any time trying to locate Jack Bell and Arch Jameson. Based on a torture-coerced confession, pure hearsay, and purely circumstantial evidence, along with what nonsense that fortune teller had told him, Sheriff Jones begins the search for Bell and Jameson. Bell is quickly located in Guthrie, Kentucky, and shortly thereafter, Jameson was found in Keysburg and arrested. Both were placed in a Robertson County jail in Springfield. Even though there is only one other prisoner in the jail, Jameson is placed in the holding cell with Jack Bell. It's about to get ugly, real ugly. News of Bell and Jameson's capture spreads like wildfire. Tension in the county is running high. Just after dark, a large mob arrives in Springfield and surrounds the Robertson County Jail. Unable to find the jailer, they ransack a nearby blacksmith shop and take hammers, chisels, and pry bars. Working nonstop, it takes over 2 hours to cut the heavy lock from the cell containing Bell and Jameson. Finally, the lock breaks free, and Bell and Jameson are now at the mercy of the lynch mob. Their hands are tied behind their backs, and they are led to the street, where the rest of the mob surrounding the jail awaits. Local citizens watch helplessly from the shadows as this grisly scene unfolds. Henry Ramsey, a prisoner in an adjoining cell, watches on as the mob works furiously to remove the lock. Ramsey is awaiting trial for the savage beating and attempted murder of a woman who had done nothing wrong except for refusing to marry him. Ramsey pleads for them to set him free as well, but that's not going to happen. Ramsey was a woman beater. They oblige Ramsey by setting his cell on fire, then riddling him with bullets. Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. With Bell and Jameson in their custody, the mob rides west to Kenny Station, where they come to a stop near the crossroads, where a large tree limb juts out over the roadway. The horses are led beneath the limb, and 2 ropes are tossed over. A noose is placed around their necks, and Bell and Jameson commence to cry and beg for their lives, but their pleas fall on deaf ears. Their horses are walked out from beneath them, and the noose is tightened around their neck, resulting in a slow, suffocating death. Their bodies twitch and jerk as they swing in a slow, lazy arc, then hang motionless as their lives expire. A couple of minutes later, Bell and Jameson are hanging lifeless, all at the hands of a lynch mob, a lawless throng of men who appointed themselves judge, jury, and executioner. A mob that took it upon themselves to deny them their right to a trial by jury of their peers. Guilty until proven innocent, Robertson County style. To ensure that Bell and Jameson are dead, the mob riddles their bodies with bullets while they hang. The mob disperses in different locations to avoid being followed, and a few minutes later, Sheriff Jones and his posse have organized in town, rode upon the grisly scene. The bodies were cut down and taken back to Springfield, where they were fitted with wooden coffins and turned over to their families for burial. As each of the surviving gang members are arrested, they are put on a train bound for Nashville, and they're lodged in the Nashville jail for safekeeping until their trial begins. They are sent back and forth one at a time for depositions. Jim Higgins has to have his feet amputated due to gangrene from the burns he received during his torture for his confession. The trial began in February of 1881, with all the defendants present except for Chris Mallory, who has died in a Nashville jail of dysentery. During the trial proceedings, District Attorney B.D. Bell shocked the courtroom by announcing that William Murphy and Anthony Duffy have agreed to turn state's evidence against the others in exchange for their freedom. The standing room only courtroom went wild. Duffy and Murphy's testimony was very damning to the defendants, and both denied having anything to do with the torture and death of LaPrade. After settling the fate of their fellow gang members, the court set them at liberty, and the sheriff escorted them out of the courthouse through an angry mob. They quickly got out of town. Shortly afterwards, the defense rested, and the case was handed to the jury for deliberation. As the jury headed to the jury room to consider a verdict, all hell broke loose. Someone yelled, "Lights out," and fired a couple of shots into the ceiling. A large mob rushed into the courtroom and forcibly removed the defendants from the custody of the sheriff. The defendants, Lum Small, Jim Higgins, Locke Mallory, Bob Thwett, and James Elder, were thrown to the floor and a noose placed around their necks. The other end was tied off to the balcony railing on the east side of the courthouse, and one at a time they were hoisted up and thrown over the railing. The mob stood guard over the bodies until they were certain that all life had expired, then fired several hundred shots into their lifeless bodies. The mob leader gave the order, and the mob quickly dispersed, heading in a northward direction toward Adams. Just before dark, it was discovered that Duffy and Murphy had suffered the same fate as their accomplices. The LaPrade house no longer stands, and the fortune, if it ever existed, has never been found. Hope you enjoyed this. I guess you could enjoy something like that. It's kind of unnerving to have to read something like that to me. Anyway, it's actual history in Robertson County. Like I said, this is part 7 of my series, Haunted Robertson County. You can follow this a little closer. I have a lot more details in my book, Lights Out, The Murder of L.S. LaPrade. Also my book, Execution of Murder, 1810 through 1910, has several big pages of information and photos concerning this court case and this murder. But anyway, I hope you enjoy my channel. Subscribe to it, give me a like, share it with your friends and family. And once again, this is the Dooster, and we will catch you on part 8 of Haunted Robertson County. Thank you for watching.